Did you?
Get off.
Yeah, you took it off. Something happened. I'm not sure what happened there. Hi everybody.
Hello. At least we had our pants on.
We're on just early. Not early, but like the video just for some reason went, and it's not cut short. I don't know why it was cut short. Anyway, well, good evening, everybody. I am happy to see you all. I see all of our friends in the chat. We got Raph, Sand Trooper, Mr. Mike Berger, Melissa Phipps, Stevens in there, Anthony J. Rogosu. Hello, Productions. Nice to see you. We're glad and Duran.
Marissa, do you remember, or was this before your time? Do you remember Romper Room? No. Do you know that show? Oh my God, that's how old I am.
I mean,
there was a show back in the day. It was like a preschool teacher. I think I want to say her name was like Miss Nancy, and she used to have this like little wand, and like she would look into the audience and she could see all the children that were tuning in, and she would call out all the kids' names, except for she would never say my name, of course, because I have, Van. Nobody ever says Van. But anyways, she would say all the other, white kids' names. And that's what the beginning of the show.
So also, guys, just to let you know, Mr. Arctic Scholar here had a birthday the other day. So happy birthday to you. I'm not going to sing it.
You're not going to sing opera for me for my birthday?
Yeah. If you really want me to, I would. SpongeBob SquarePants, the opera. Which is what everyone here knows me for sometimes. That was like my second show ever on the channel. I got forced into singing SpongeBob SquarePants the opera. Hello, Edward Carrillo. How are you? Good to see you.
Trying to get through all these messages here.
Yeah, we have lots of messages, lots of wonderful people. Last week we gave away a saber. And if you guys don't know, when we reach 2,000, Arctic Skull here is going to give away a NeoPixel, which is a very nice saber.
We will be giving away a NeoPixel saber, and I want to make it special. I want to make it fun. I don't know, we're what, 70? We're not that far away. I want to say we're like 70 people away.
We're less than 70 of
less than 70.
2,000 subs. Yeah, which is awesome. When I joined the channel just 2 years and 1 month ago, almost exactly, we had 468 subs at that time.
468, and we're now just
we're almost 1,500 more. Yeah, we're just approaching it, which is awesome. Just want to let you guys know, you see on the banner scrolling on the bottom is our Retro Alcove. Tomorrow night is the last Star Wars Retro Alcove because it's the end of Star Wars month. So make sure to tune into Graveyard doing that. That releases about 5:15 or so p.m. Pacific time. So make sure to check that out. But first and foremost,
if you are not watching it, make sure you are tuning in every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Depends on where you are but 10 a.m. Pacific time for our Saturday morning Nerd Outs. That is a fantastic show headed by our good friend Graveyard. But Frey is on it. Mez is on that show. We got all kinds of fun people.
And we actually just finished filming all of our episodes of The New Order for the first season.
Wow.
Role-playing adventure game. And we will be working very hard on getting all that editing soon. It's a lot of pre-production work with trailers and intros. And we were making all of our own music. And so it's taking longer than a lot of shows normally would. But moving on, our first thing. We have the nerdy news where Van gets covered by the comments. I can make it so you're not there. Now you're not covered. All right, first in the nerdy news. Phantom, we had our 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace. Ben Burt talks about sound design and picture editing with George Lucas. Now, I think a lot of the crew on so many of the movies and TV shows don't get enough credit. So I actually decided to include this. I thought it was really, really cool. Let me bring up where I have all the links saved. So I can drop it in the chat for you. But if you're actually watching the upload, you'll be able to see the link in the description below. But if you'd like to take a look at that article, it is linked in the chat now. It's a really good, interesting article talking about sound design and the editing on that movie. Next, if you guys know, The Acolyte is coming out pretty soon. And you got Acolyte star Amanda Stenberg performs the new John Williams Star Wars arrangement. She actually is in Acolyte. She played Rue in Hunger Games. If you guys don't recall, just by looking at her, she's absolutely gorgeous. She kind of plays the more like ninja character when you see the Acolyte trailer. And I'm really excited to see her in this. She's absolutely spectacular. So she looks like she's playing violin there. Doesn't look like a viola. My son plays viola, so I kind of like remember the difference slightly. So if you guys want to check out that article, that is also in the description if you're watching the upload, but I just put it in the chat as well for those who are here with us now. You can open that up and save it on your tab until our show's over. Then you can look at it.
Excellent. And Anthony, I want to say, as you, if you are like Anthony and you're one of the people scrolling through YouTube right now looking for something fun to watch, you, my friend, have landed on the perfect place tonight. We have a very, 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 very exciting guest. I've been waiting for this one, and we almost had well, you know what? I'll talk about it as we get into it. That's
yeah. We'll talk about it as we get into it, because we first have to do our flow of the shows. Now we actually have a combo of 2 for flow of the show. Hi, Graveyard.
Hello there.
So actually, our flow of the shows are short, but they're doing a similar act. So Mr. James Kaiser, our producer, sent them through. Pyromancy and False Face are the 2 flow of the shows that we have for you today. So please enjoy flow of the show. All right, that's our flow of the show, guys. Yes, Stephen liked to point out that Van likes to mention that when there's a fire flow artist or fire dancer, that they always have long hair, and one of them in that picture has dreads, but both of them have their hair covered. So good for them.
That was like, I feel like every time we watch a fire flow, it's like stepped up that much more. I feel like we were inside a volcano this week.
Well, it's not that hot. Like,
I was worried about their entire body, not just their hair.
I've actually spoken. So it was many years ago. I worked in an amusement park for Warner Brothers as a costume character. And after the show, we would do our shift, we would go watch a stage show called The Reckoning at the time that was happening. And they had a fire dancer, and we got to chat with her afterwards. And she showed the little burn marks from like when she was practicing, and not until when she wasn't good enough yet to like not have the mistakes and such.
Oh man,
that was really cool. And she did have long hair. Maybe that's how I've seen people get haircuts like with fire too, which is very interesting to see.
Right. Right.
Anyway, so thank you, James Kaiser, for providing the flow of the show today. That was a lot of fun. Just a reminder to everyone before we have our guests come on, Mezzo here has one more week with y'all before I take a 5-week vacation. Van, you'll survive.
The place is going to burn down.
The channel existed for 2 years before I came on, so I'm pretty sure it will be okay.
But we might make it.
I am preparing. We are actually booked with guests through July 14th.
Yes, we are filled.
We're filled with guests, and so I will actually be preparing the first 2 weeks of the show that I'm not going to be here for.
Right, but
because Graveyard, who is covering me the last 3 weeks I'm gone, he's editing for me, and we did a whole tutorial the other day too. Like we sat down yesterday, and he watched me edit for today.
And Graveyard is going to be a fantastic host. You've seen him here many times before. And Graveyard, I wanted to point out to you, since you're in the audience, I want to explain to you, why you're on here oftentimes when we give away, why you're often giving away sabers? Because usually when you're on here, that means I'm at a convention and I am pushing out on every sale. I'm telling everybody to subscribe to our lovely little channel here.
Yeah.
So usually it's like a competition for myself. I'm always trying to see if I can make it to that next 100 by showtime, so I can just take a picture of a saber and send it to Mez and say, we made it.
Just let you know, Anthony, we don't know the location of those fire dancers and their flow, because it is provided by our producer. But I did want to point out Graveyard's note. Yes, I had hair when I did fire dancing. It just never grew back. For those who don't know, Graveyard is hairless on the dome there. All right.
I meant this channel's going to burn down. Had nothing to do with that. The
channel's going to burn down. Well, hopefully the channel will not burn down, because I will be like, it's not. The reason it's a 5-week vacation is it's been over 2 years since I've been on the channel, and I've never actually taken a break. Like, even if I didn't host on a Sunday, I still edited everything, even when I was traveling across the U.S. And I want to take a break. Sometimes you get tired and you just need a break. I have 2 trips in June as well. My husband and I have our 18-year anniversary in June. So we will be going away for a few nights, just like an hour away, just to kind of hang out. We just love hanging out together, doing whatever. And then we come home for a day. And then the day after that, we leave to Mexico for 5 days. We are going to help build a house with a mission trip for our church. I did that a year ago. I'm pretty much incommunicado that entire time, most of that time. So you guys will have 3 nights where no one can talk to me. Sorry.
Yes, I just remember you coming back from that trip destroyed last year.
Yeah, and I actually had preferred not to go this year, but my children really want to go, and my youngest and another child going on the trip. There's no other moms going that would be like in charge of kids, so I felt like I really needed to go. So I won't be working as much. I'll be taking care of the kids, and I'm in charge of photos and videos for the trip, because I do all the editing for my church and stuff as well. Okay. So I will be not working as hard as I did last year. And I'm also really excited because when we go, I speak a decent amount of Spanish, not a large amount. It's a lot harder to converse sometimes just casually. So I used a lot of Google Translate last year, but we do have a woman coming with us that Spanish is her first language, and she knows English. So I'm very excited to be able to continuously communicate with the family more. So that would be really nice. I'm really looking.
Hey, and before we get on with our next segment, I do want to remind you, make sure to check out kybercave.com for any of your saber needs. We are going to start doing monthly promotions, depending on how we're feeling. Like next month is going to be Father's Day, so we're going to do a Vader and Luke set where there'll be a discount if you buy both of those for Father's Day or whatever. We'll think of fun little promotions for everyone.
Vader and Luke inspired.
Yes, inspired. Thank you kindly. Don't forget to check us out in downtown, well, not downtown Vacaville, at the Vacaville outlet malls. If you are in Northern California, we are one of the few Saber stores where you can actually go in and talk to people and pick things up and look at all the pretty stuff and go home that day with it. We are going to be at Powerhouse Con in Alameda in 2 weeks, so make sure to check us out down there too. David Hawthorne always puts on fantastic shows, and I can't remember exactly who he has on this lineup, but every year that we've done a Powerhouse show, they've been so much fun, and the audiences just rave about it. So make sure to come out in 2 weeks in Alameda. Come say hi. Come check us out. Why not
Vader and Luke? Because they didn't have an epic battle at the end of the movie. Maybe.
I also want
to make sure. I shall point out that I have the flow links I'm posting in chat. So make sure to check them out.
That is a good point. We could do Leia, I guess, included on that.
You could do a Vader and Leia or a Vader and Luke. Right. All right, guys. Well, it's time for our wonderful guest to come on. So would you take it away, Mr. Arctic Scala?
I am very excited. I felt like it was almost an omen. Roughly a month ago, we had a fantastic band on the show called
Omen. Do you know what omen means? Omen's a bad thing.
No, it's not necessarily.
Is it?
Is it? I thought it was a foretelling of something.
You could say a sign. We had the band called the 3POs.
Yeah.
We had a band called the 3POs.
We had a band called the 3POs on here. And just a month later, we have a fantastic actor who is best known. He does over 20 different characters for Disney. All of them behind different costume things, so you never know it's quite him. But he does over 20 different characters, but the one that he is best known for is his C-3PO. So with no further ado, please give it up for Mr. Chris Bartlett.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to talk to you guys tonight.
Oh man, it was so much fun. In the little bit of pre-show that we had, we realized how much everybody had in common in different things. It's amazing when you get to talk to a person and learn about their other interests, how many commonalities you can have.
Yes, right. We're all from the same kind of like area in Northern California. That was really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take advantage of that, believe me.
Great. That sounds fun.
So what is life
hi,
for you?
Tamara.
Yes,
and Melissa. Hello.
Yes, I've noticed that you have several people. There was a stormtrooper on. Sandtrooper 537 said they were coming out specifically.
That's 573. Yeah.
Oh, 573. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of people that are excited to see you tonight. How has life been for you? There's so much.
Oh my gosh! Wait. Tamara is on. Tamara was my she is a woman of many talents, but she was one of my first dressers on Mandalorian from the very beginning. But she is a super mega talent in terms of building costumes, creating creatures and costumes, makeup, and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, she's awesome. So
Mez,
I'm so
take
glad
that name down,
here.
Mez. We'll have to get in
contact
with her.
You should. Yeah, she's a lot of fun.
Already on
it. Good.
So I mean, let's get right into it. You were talking about the Mandalorian. You've done like all of the Disney Plus series, right?
No, I've done 3 seasons of The Mandalorian,
right.
The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I didn't do Andor, or Acolyte.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I guess I didn't count Acolyte yet because it's not officially out yet. So that one in my head is still
Andor. Right, yeah.
And Andor had its completely a whole different feel to it. Great show, but a completely different vibe to it.
Right, exactly. So those are the shows that I've worked on. Yeah, that's it.
And from what I've seen, I believe I saw, like, I want to say it was like 2006 is when the acting part of your life kind of got started. But before that, you were doing video games. And with Star Wars, the Star Wars series was one of the series that you were actually working on. Is that correct?
Let's see. So 2006 was when I started professionally acting. And I was acting at the same time as working in video games concurrently till, for like, I don't know, 15 or 17 years or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm just going to give you a little behind the scenes here. Most actors have to have a day job. Okay.
Right.
Like a lot of us are working actors, not, there's a very, very small percentage of actors who are super famous, as far as, the celebrities that you would be able to recognize on the street. So anyway, we do our work and we do the other work that we need to, so my background before acting is in graphic design. So I was in video games, I was what you call a UI UX director, which that's right, blue collar Jedi Council of America. And so what I would do is I would design all the heads up displays and targeting reticles and every way that the game communicates with the player. That's one thing I did. The other thing was, as a user experience director, I would make sure that people that players enjoy the game, don't rage quit, and keep coming back for more. And what all goes into that? Like, what keeps a player interested and engaged in the game, which to me also applies to any audience, whether you're making entertainment,
Right.
of whether it's a game or a film or
Music.
music, exactly, singing, like opera, for example, anyway, like anything. anything any kind of entertainment where you have an audience, that they have an experience. You want them to have an experience that enlightens them, or it where they have an escape of some kind, or they feel tense during your suspenseful scene, or whatever.
Right.
You want audiences to feel something, because entertainment is an escape, but it is essential to life.
Right.
So anyway, I love that that part
That,
of the user experience
that's so
work that I
interesting. Now,
did.
what kind of school do you have to go for that? I mean, obviously there's computer work, there's digital work, but like, do you have to take like deep psychology classes and like to really understand the human brain and what is a dopamine reward inside a game, and what's enough to frustrate somebody, but just enough to want to keep them going, but not so much that they're gonna throw the controller through the window. That seems like a lot
Right.
to have to
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So part of it, the UI part is art, and the UX part is game design. And so it's helpful to have some kind of psychology. I mean, I study what players do, and we watch that through patterns and like user tests and stuff like that. And that's where we get a lot of our information. A lot of times we bring people in, and they play the game, and then they fill out surveys, and we can understand what they're thinking. A lot of times,
Right.
well, there's proprietary stuff too, where people are filmed while they're playing the game, so we can see, what and we watch that to see how their experience is. But then also, like, well, I don't know. You also see when you put something out, if people play it, or they, how many downloads or how many clicks or whatever.
Right.
I mean, all of that stuff is counted and measured. So yeah, yeah. So I worked on the first 4 Gears of War games
Oh,
at
wow.
Epic Games, and there's also a Star Wars component about how I got the job there. But and then I worked on the Tomb Raider reboots. I worked on Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and Warzone. I was the UX director on those. So the experience of the player was all that my team and I cared about, was how, how do we get casual players to play this game? Because instead of just hardcore Call of Duty players. So anyway,
Right.
that is my background was in graphic design. That led to creating interfaces for, players or users that they could use and weren't frustrating, that we call it frictionless. It's like a smooth interaction. And that's where I got kind of all my user experience, like that really interested me. So that's when I'm still a graphic artist, but then I transitioned to directing. It's kind
I
of like
have so many questions.
yeah, it's kind of a combination art director and game design director job. It's two in one. So
Right.
it's I mean, games are a fun to play. It takes a lot of work to make them and to make them
Right.
fun. And I like to say, to simplify it, my job is to make sure the game is fun. But
Man.
there's
Well,
way more to it than just that, But
well,
anyway,
I've
there's a whole
often
science.
thought gaming is one of those very few underappreciated art forms. It's not regarded as an art the same way, a painting might be, or a
Mm,
choreographed dance, or something like
yeah.
that. I think a lot of times people forget about how much art and intention and how much, of that mental detail goes into it. And I've often thought that directing and creating video games are the only two art forms I know of where you have to be a master of every other art form. before you can even say. You have to understand how music affects people. You have to understand lighting. You have to understand, your actors. You have to understand there's so much. You have to understand every other art form to just to get these pieces together to work as one shot on a screen.
Yeah, at least understand how they affect the audience. And so that's, that is something that is all part of it. So, but people say, "Oh, you play video games all day." No, somebody actually has to make them. So, no, yes, I do play games, but I'm testing it and trying to break it the whole time. I'm trying to break it so that we either find the bugs or that we find the problems and then solve those with design solutions and art. So, yeah.
And that is amazing work that you do. I just want to remind people in the audience, don't forget, you too can ask any questions. If you have a question for Chris, go ahead and type it down at the bottom. We'll try to get back to it. If we're in the middle of a conversation, we might have to come back to it or whatever. But just want to remind Chris that that I don't have to be the only one stealing all of your time. So no, I know we've had C. Andrew Nelson on our show. He's a good friend of the show. In the past, and so C. Andrew.
I don't know him. I know who he is.
Okay. He has a very his background was that he's worked in movies like Nightmare Before Christmas. He's worked on, and I guess his entry into Star Wars came in that they were creating a Star Wars video game, and he was the only person tall enough for the mocap for the video game, so he became Vader. And at the time they were doing the reshoots for, the anniversary, Lucas was doing the reshoots where he's adding the scenes in, and he got to, just by proxy being big enough for the suit, he got to do a lot of the reshoots and stuff. How was your entry into, you were saying that there was a connection with your video games there?
Oh, well, to get into games, first of all, you have to have a great portfolio. That was part of it. But the Star Wars portion of it was when I went to apply at Epic Games, I sent them my my portfolio, and then I just called them right away. Like I sent it in the morning, and then I called them at like 11. This is in 2005, and they said, "Hey, we have like 400 resumes we're going through, so we'll let you know when we get to yours." And I was like, "Oh, I got to figure out a way how to, get their attention."
Right.
That was my thing. Is I wanted they were my audience, right? And so I wanted to maybe entertain them a little bit and show them the goods. So at the time, I had just started building costumes, and I had a full Sand Trooper kit. So Sand Trooper 573, you'll like this. Maybe you know the story. It was the full, the dirty Sand Trooper with a big backpack and the big Lewis gun and the orange pauldron. And so I walk in, I have my own voice amplifier and the microphone, and I go into their building, and I ride the elevator up to the top, and nobody stopped me. Like there was nobody around. There's no security stopped me.
Right.
The FBI, the FBI has a building, had an office in that building. Nobody came out and stopped me. And so the elevator's open, and the director of animation is there, and I was like, we were both like. Then I said, "May I speak to your superior, please?" And so anyway, long story short, I met Tim Sweeney, the head of Epic Games, and we hit it off, and the art director Jerry O'Flaherty at the time. And anyway, so I got home. They said, "Wow, that was amazing. You really we checked out your portfolio. We like your work, and we'd like to have you in to talk." So that was how Star Wars got me a job in the game industry. Yes, but then the next year was when I got my first acting gig.
Right. It says, "Hi, sir. I have a piece of armor that I bought from you today. It's Dave Anderson. Were you at his show earlier today?"
Oh, it's Dave Anderson. Oh, Dave, I've known Dave for like 50 years. I mean, like, yeah, I know Dave. So that's great. Wow, I didn't know that was his. Yeah, so awesome. No, I love Dave, and I've known him forever. I don't know what part he has that he maybe it's the neck thing. A long time ago, used to make neck seals. Anyway,
so let's talk about how did you get into the Disney world, the Lucasverse, or more specifically the Filoni verse. It looks like
right. Well, how I got into the Filoniverse, as you call it, I had been acting for several years, and Lucasfilm. I'd been working for Lucasfilm as an actor in several productions of theirs, but never, we hadn't done any narrative stuff. This is all like Super Bowl commercials or the Oscars or other lots of commercial stuff, guest appearances on TV, TV shows, Jimmy Kimmel, David Letterman, and other shows on ABC, and anyway, lots of stuff like that. So when they started doing the new shows, they knew I possessed a particular set of skills, and they asked me to come in for a screen test for this distinguished gentleman, Q90. Can you see him there? So
yes,
I got to go in and do a screen test for Zero, and the costume was only this much, because this is all CG. But anyway, from the waist up, I looked awesome. Anyway, so I did the screen test, and that was the first character that was cast as, and I was so excited, Ark, because I'd been playing. This is my first bounty hunter, and bounty hunters are cool. They have really cool, like, accessories.
weapons.
Yeah.
Right.
They have cool attitudes. They have great armor. They're just really interesting characters in the Star Wars universe, and so that was my first character that I was cast as, but it wasn't the first character that I played. The first character I played was the ferryman, which was the Kubaz character in the very first scene in episode 1 of The Mandalorian. The snout and the goggles.
Yeah. I love the Kubaz. That's like one of my favorite characters, because he just has such a small little role in the first Star Wars movie. But
we want to see more, right?
Yeah. I actually that was I loved in Mandalorian. That was one of my favorite things is how he was able to expand a universe that we already knew. So you took a Kubaz, a character that we only see for like 5 seconds in A New Hope, and brings him back in a different environment. He brings him back as a different type. It just made you feel so connected to this universe right from the start. Oh my gosh, that was you. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. That was one of the 20 characters. So, Mezzo, I learned that you not only played the character One Jack, but also built the suit itself. How did you come into the skills creations of the suit and one similar? Well, as an adult, I'd been working in video games, and as an adult, I found out about the 501st. This is in 2000, the year 2000, and so I didn't know about the 501st. I started building a stormtrooper costume that I got, that I traded some work for, and then I just started going to events and stuff that I could, like astronomy shows, or like, I don't know, things that remotely I could connect to Star Wars, maybe some kind of science or sci-fi or something. And taking my daughter, who was like, I think she was like 3 at the time. I dressed her up as little Leia, Princess Leia with the bun.
Right.
And I was the stormtrooper, and she was the little Leia. Anyway, that was how I got started, was building costumes.
Wow.
And so then I continued to build costumes up until this day. Still continue building them. And I built like a Boba Fett, a Tusken Raider, and these are all like, I'm trying to get them as screen accurate as possible,
Right.
And this is all before 3D printing or anything, so you're really trying to source like off the shelf things, or track down the one kind of like piece that is an obscure like dental expander on Boba Fett's gauntlet. So So anyway, I'd been doing that. Plus, I was building costumes for my kids. Like all the bounty hunter ladies in Star Wars, I did for my daughters, and Gonk Droid and Jawas and all that. So,
oh man.
Oh gosh, we have so many great questions.
That I figured once you tell your thing, we'll go back to them because it's gonna,
okay, good.
But I want to hear what's the rest of your story.
Yeah. So how did I? I guess, I mean, some of this. I'll share what I can on this, and that is, they cast me as Zero. Legacy Effects built Zero. Probably Tamara worked on that one as well with Don Deininger. And so then they, I don't know how this came up. I was just there working, we're filming stuff. And then we started, thank you, Tamara. You're so sweet. So we started, I don't know how this came up, but I think we were talking about like what we do on the weekends or something. And so I had built a few costumes, like I mentioned, and I specifically love droids. And so being cast as Zero was an incredible, honor for me because I love playing droids. And then I was building. They asked me to build a droid. That's what it was. They asked me to build the bartender in season 1. So it's basically a Death Star droid, but it's bartending. It's the one where Moff Gideon and all his Death Troopers shoot up the cantina, and I'm still serving drinks. So I was asked to build that one, and then it just sort of, we just continued to collaborate on these projects, on the costumes, and so that is how that started. It just sort of we have such a great relationship of collaborating. Doug Chiang, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, working together, and also with Legacy Effects to build things that are characters that are compelling and fun and relatable, and remind us of things that we might have maybe seen in the past, but we're going to expand on that. Mezzo, you asked about One Jack. I actually have here one of the production heads. This was sculpted just for Kenobi, and this is one of the production heads that we used for the show. And so, anyway, I thought
I had to show my excitement face. I was like,
yeah, yeah. So this was sculpted, like I said, especially for Kenobi. That was a unique situation. That was not, made before. So anyway, it turned out, I obviously he looks like another bounty hunter that we might be familiar with, from Empire. Yes, exactly. And so I like to say, because the timeline, I like to say One Jack might be wait a minute, the father of Forlom.
Oh, the predecessor. Great.
But besides that, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's what it is, because obviously robots can't have babies. But anyway, the idea was, for me anyway, I was so excited that we were going to maybe be able to see a Lam class character in action, because we always, Forlom, he was just kind of standing there, played by Chris Parsons, actor Chris Parsons in The Empire Strikes Back, holding his blaster, right, not moving. But in the comics, we always see like Forlom and Zuckuss, and they're all shooting it up, and they're all, tons of action.
Right,
and so, yes, and so this character needed to be able to run and jump. They did say I needed to climb a ladder, but I didn't get around to climbing a ladder. Anyway, so I tailored the suit so that I could have a stance like a gunslinger, so I could dual wield pistols, and I could, stand in a stance that was more aggressive, and also, not. It was 0% C-3PO. We were not protocol droid. We are bounty hunter gunslinger.
Right.
And yeah, so that's it's great to be able to look at the concept art and decide how you want to approach performing this character, not only building it, but performing it as well.
Right.
And yeah, so because I play a lot of droids, I know them inside and out. So I like to make them each individual. So uh, so real quick, um, I play C-3PO and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I was in the suit for that, and he's very appropriate. He's very
Proper.
this is his energy, right?
Right.
And then like the teacher droid, which you can see right behind here, season 2.
Yeah.
First of all, C-3PO is always out of he's like a fish out of water. He's always out of his element. He's rarely, except for that scene in Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's rarely doing anything that has to do with etiquette and protocol is my primary function. So he's always kind of frantic and worried. But the teacher droid, she is instructing
In her
children,
element.
and she's in her element, and she's very calm. So her emotions are very gentle, and you'll see that in the scene and how she's speaking. Her voice is very calm. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of Zero was a cold killing machine.
Right.
One Jack was a bug, insectoid styled mercenary, and so his energy was different too. Let's see, the traffic droid in Book of Boba Fett. That it's all super grimy and just
Right.
dripping with gunk and everything. So I played that one like it was supposed to be a kind of a comic moment
Right.
during that speeder chase. So I played that one like his bolts were all loose and his joints were all covered. They had grime and
Right.
sand and stuff like that. And so I played oh my goodness, like that.
What an odd
So
place to be to think about. Typically when you think about a robot or a droid, you think of something that is emotionless, that has no thought process. But to be an actor and not be able to show your face or to be able to emote, your only emotion is through your body. Everything who you are as a droid or a person, right, has to come through with, are you acting jittery as that, traffic
Right.
cop, or are you that calm teacher that's, there's so much acting that has to be done because of that lack of face. That's absolutely amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
Is it hard for you to get into that, or do you just kind of go into the life of that droid and try to imagine
I like to look at Ark, I like to look at the concept art. I like to read what the character, says, how they interact with other people, and what their actions are. And then did I mention the costume? Yeah, you look at the costume, or in the case of if you're building it, you're kind of informing that from the stuff you're reading. But yeah, so then as an actor, you just trying stuff, like you bring it and you like all my lines are in English. So even with the ferryman had lines that were in English, not
right,
not that.
Right.
It was in English, and so I just came up with a voice and offered that, and he sounded like an old Soviet car salesman. Is how I did it. So that was he said, "Oh, this speeder is brand new. It just arrived on the Spinwood freighter."
Nice.
And the production said, "Oh, that's good. Let's cartoon it down a little." And okay, cool. Yeah. So a director wants to be able to tone down an actor. They don't want to have to say like, okay, give us some more energy, or like come up with ideas, or So I'm just trying stuff, and if they take it, great. If they don't, fine. I'm just giving gifts. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, coming up with that's how actors will use any information they have to try and create something that is part of them, is in every character.
Right. All right. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go back and our fabulous director does little stars next to questions that people have asked. So I'm going to start to go back and knock these out because I don't want our great audience to think that I don't. I love you guys. I don't want you guys thinking that I forgot about you. And if you see me hold my glasses like this, is not like I'm bored. It's because of my bifocals. I got the old man glasses. I got to read what it says on down there. So Pot Out at Night, our fabulous producer Graveyard says, what's your favorite video game? Oh, this is back when we were talking about video games.
Right. Pod Out at Night. I mean, what's my favorite video game? I'm a casual gamer. I really like, I would play a lot of games and I would jump in and play for 15 to 30 minutes and kind of like get a feeling of the game because I was working on games and I like to know what is resonating with players and stuff. So but I will tell you what's my favorite. I really loved Battlefront. All the Battlefront games I played, and I loved them. I lately, let's see, I did play. What was the? I can't believe I deleted it, but I played it for years. Probably 5 years. I played. It was one of the Clans games. It was an app where you have two sides, and you're both sending players across and then they fight. And I can't remember what it was, but it was so simple. But it was very complex in the design of it that as a player you didn't pick up how complex it really was, but it's so fun. And you get this dopamine hit, when certain things happen. It's just a great game. I loved it. But I mean, I loved all the games I was working on too, like Warzone. I was not a Call of Duty player before I started on Call of Duty. And then I brought in casual players through our work there. And so Warzone was really a lot of fun for me back then. It was like 2019, 2020. So, yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Excellent. All right. The next one. Do you have any desire to have your face on screen in the future, or do you prefer to stay fully suited up? That's a good question.
Yeah, Jens Nielsen. Well, I know him. We've known each other for a few years. It's great that you're here. Do I have any desire to have my face on screen? Of course. As an actor, you want to be able to access any opportunity to tell stories. And so far, I've been doing a lot of them, behind a mask. And I feel like I have lots of other stories to tell. And I would love to do that. With on camera, we call it. So, but it's what's fun about being suited up is you can rely somewhat on the design of the character to inform your performance. For one, C-3PO. Like when I play C-3PO, when we did Obi-Wan Kenobi. The director said, all right, Chris, why don't you suit up to the neck? You don't have to put the head on, come out, you meet the cast, and we'll run through rehearsal and stuff. And I was like, okay. And then I told my dresser, do the whole thing. Light up the eyes, do the microphone, put the head on, everything. And then I just wandered out onto set like I was lost, like 3PO was lost. Is this a droid maintenance facility? My goodness, we're doomed. And then R2-D2, it is you. Oh, wonderful. And so that's what I did. And the reason I'm doing that, Ark, is because I want the audience, which in this case was the cast and crew, to feel how special. They were already making something very special, and I just wanted to kind of like
make it special for them.
For them, right? Because they're making it for an audience that they don't get any feedback from, right? It's not live stage. So the reason I was bringing that up is you talked about, character suited up or on camera, and so I love that about especially droids in Star Wars because they are immediately recognized as robots, and so especially as C-3PO, who is such a well-known, well-beloved character, originated by George Lucas and Anthony Daniels. That's so much fun to be able to bring to that audience.
Right.
And so, but yeah.
I remember watching the behind the scenes for Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney Plus, and they
Yeah.
were talking about the first time, Vader suited up and came on set. Ewan McGregor, he's seen all these things without he's been in these movies, but even he said that you could feel it on the set. Everybody, obviously everybody who works there knows that Vader is going to be there, but once you see him in costume and have it, or in his presence, they said everybody, you couldn't help but be in awe. I'm sure that's what it's like when you walk in a room.
Well, when 3PO walks in the room. When I walk in the room, people are like,
"Who's this guy?"
They don't know who I am. Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. My mom loves me, and that's enough. Anyway, but when we infuse so much of our memories, our core memories of going to the movies and seeing these characters into into them, so that when you see them in person, sometimes it could bring up wild emotions, and so that's so I just feel so lucky to be part of that kind of uh of that kind of a thing. It's very
legacy.
special. Yeah. When I did a VW commercial with you, and after we shot One Jack and hunting Obi-Wan and Little Leia, and he came up. I didn't recognize him because his hair was buzzed, and he was wearing a mask because it was during COVID. And I'm suited up, to the neck. I don't have the head on. And he comes up and he goes, "Hey," because he never says what you want him to say.
Right.
Hello there. He doesn't say that. He comes up and he goes, "Hey," and I'm like, "Oh, hey," because we're trying to get suited up and stuff. And then he starts, he starts talking, and I realize, oh, that sounds familiar. Wait a second. Oh my gosh, that's you. And I said, "Hey." It was we worked together on Kenobi. He was like, "Yeah, I remember." So I played C-3PO in this VW commercial with him, and it was so wonderful again in that environment with the cast and crew. I'm not telling you all the details of how the cast and crew reacted. I'll just
Right.
say it was so warm and sweet, that it's so satisfying, if you imagine the work that you do has an impact on people that brightens their life, it is such a good feeling. And
Wow.
so anyway, that was yeah, I do love playing characters where I'm wearing a mask. I don't mind that at all. And I've played some that are not in Star Wars. um, but yeah, I have plans to do some on camera work. Yeah.
Wow. And I'm going to ask really quick, and then we'll get back to some of these questions, because I know, and this is coming from a personal thing, so this is just something I want to know back. I have
Mm.
extreme claustrophobia, and I
Mhm.
remember watching an interview with Anthony Daniels where he was talking about how in all the years that he's done the costume, there was only
Yeah.
one incident where he ever had a claustrophobic moment. It was when Sarcaclus Crumb was like biting on his eye or something, and he just kind of freaked out or whatever. And I know when he first had the costume, I mean, it was like it makes me think of Iron Man, that first, the first Iron Man movie where
Yeah.
there's,
In the
bolts and
cave.
everything coming, every direction. It took, I guess, over
Yeah.
an hour to get that costume on. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
not like that nowadays, correct?
No, I have a dresser that I've known for 20 years, and he's and we work, like, he lives near me, and we're talking daily. Um, and so his name's Dana Gasser, and he's a super talented and super nice guy. And so it's nice to have someone who that their only job is to make sure that you're feeling okay, and and like Tamra did that at the early days in the early days. So
Mhm.
did Don Deininger, and that was it was so nice, because you can sometimes feel like you're very alone when you're inside that, and nobody can take it off or see your
Right.
face or anything. And so and when you're wearing the droid costume, you can only see out of the little black dots in the middle. I don't have one here. The little black dots in the middle of the glowing eyes. That's all you can
Yeah.
see out of. Sometimes it's worse.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but But anyway, what I like to do is I focus on what's outside. Like what am I seeing outside? Oh, John Favreau is talking to me. Or oh, there's a stormtrooper. Oh, there's a big land speeder that's just pulling up. Like lots of cool stuff that's out there instead of focusing on what's bothering me in here. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
So the
Right.
little black those are the holes, and they're the size of drinking straws.
Oh
Like this.
man.
Yeah. So anyway, you can get disoriented if you focus on what's inside here.
Right. And some costumes, I imagine, like if you've got a forearm or the one jack or whatever, you got a big head, which I imagine you could put fans in there to cool yourself off or something. But C3PO is a very tight fitting, right on your face. I
Right.
imagine
Yeah.
those are two
There's no
completely
room.
different feelings.
Yeah. There's not really a lot of room at all inside a protocol droid, and then you only have the mouth for ventilation. But I'm not complaining. I seriously, I'm in Star Wars. But but like one jack, I would look out of the nose here, and then also
Ah,
you can't see it, but there are wrinkles in here that go all the way through. So you kind of have like a little grid or a mesh that you can get an idea of where you are. But the toughest one that I did was copper, which was designed by Timothy Martin, a good friend of mine, and Tamara knows him too. And you're Tamara, you were not the worst at pinching my ears. It's fine. My ears are sticking out. It's not your fault. But Timothy Martin designed Copper, the droid in season 3, Grief Karga's right hand droid, and in that one, the eyes are covered with lights, and there's no holes in the middle. There's just a little grill right here in the middle, which is nowhere near my eyes. So,
oh,
um, in all of the scenes that I played as Copper, I can't see anything. So what I do is I do the rehearsal with the helmet off, and I I estimate where I need to go. So every time I'm like running in the office or running out of the office or going out to the balcony and looking up like this or running across the lava flats outside or whatever, with all the townspeople around me and Jawas and all this stuff, I couldn't see where I was going, but it just took practice of getting used to it. So if you think being claustrophobic and just being able to see this much, imagine
wow.
not being able to see anything. And there's lots of creature performers who can't see a thing.
Right.
They're in you should have Misty Rosas on sometime.
Yeah, I'd
She
love to.
has played a lot of creatures over the years that you can't see. And plus some of them you're hearing servo sounds wah, 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 like this, and you
Right.
can't see. It could be really disorienting. But
Man, you're
we
hot
figure
and
out ways to get
sweaty.
around it.
Right. But it's just like you said, but you're in Star Wars. All right,
Yeah.
let's get
I mean,
back to
and it's
some of
not for everybody. It's not for everybody. I've seen where we have actors on set that, okay, it's time to suit up. You get the big suit on, and now you're going to put the head on, and then they're like, no, I can't do this. I can't
right.
see. I can't do this. So you need to be able to endure the costume. You also need to be
Right.
able to perform through the costume. Um, and then also, yeah, you need to be able to also deliver all of your material with another actor so that they feel like they're getting something from you. So
Right.
it's a multi takes a lot of different skills in one.
We had
Yeah, okay, we had
Dominic we've had Dominic Pace on here a couple of times, who was in Mandalorian season 1. And he
mhm.
was one of the bounty hunters that had to wear prosthetic uh head thing like that. And he actually had this a whole tour, getting his character known and everything. But it's very interesting what you have to be willing to endure. All right, let's get to some of these other questions here. I'm having so much fun talking to you. All
Oh,
right. This says, like so many adults involved in working in Star Wars universe today, you're a Star Wars fan. Can you tell us a bit about that moment you found out that you would be in Star Wars?
um, I'm gonna talk about when I'm going to be when I was going to be in the new shows. Okay. because that's really Star Wars. And I will tell you this. When I went in for Zero, um, they didn't tell me right away that I got it. I was like 3 weeks later, and I hadn't heard anything, so I was like, oh, I guess I wasn't good enough. And then I got, or maybe it was something different. They wanted something different, but I then they called me in for the ferryman, and so when they told me I got that, and I said, so well, whatever happened with Zero, and they were like, oh, you got that one too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the best day ever
Right.
times two. Um, so, but it's exciting, but you're not really sure what to expect until
Right.
you walk into the set and you step up on that frozen pier, and all of a sudden everything slows down to super slow motion,
Right.
and your whole life of fandom flashes before your eyes, right?
Wow.
Um, Now that's just because I'm a nerd. That's just because I'm a Star Wars fan from the beginning in 1977.
Right.
And when so it's exactly how you would imagine it would be for you. Okay, your mind is blowing, steam is shooting out of your ears, your eyes
You're
are
trying to
rolling up.
hold it all in, hold it together.
Right. Now, there's another thing that you have to do is you have to keep all of that contained because we're professionals and we are creating characters and telling stories on a schedule,
Right.
and you're prepared with all your stuff. I'm not just going in there bopping around like a crazy person. There was one, I've told this story before, but there's this one. My favorite moments was with Werner Herzog, who is a venerated director and actor
Yeah.
and writer. He played the client, which is the older ex Imperial warlord, and I was just standing next to him all the way up to my neck in a droid, and it was one of the early days of filming Mandalorian season 1, and there was that scene where I was playing the bartender and the cantina gets shot up. He gets killed, and we're watching some of that being shot, and we're just standing there watching it, both of us, and I just leaned over and I was like, "Isn't this exciting?" Just because it was just so special that
Right.
what we were part of. And he goes, "This is serious work. We are breathing life into characters which would not otherwise exist." And then he said some
Wow.
other stuff too, which I don't remember, but it was like, yes, that's what we're doing. It is not only special because we're fans, but also special because what we're doing is real life work. And
Right.
so anyway, it was that those two. I'll use those two answers to tell you what it was like to when I found out it was gonna be in Star Wars.
Wow, that just kind of
Yes,
gave me chills, like
yeah,
you think of it as a fan, like, oh my gosh, how fun would that be? But there is a
mm,
gravity to it too. I mean,
yeah,
these movies sometimes, this is the last movie somebody saw with their father before their father passed. And so,
mm,
certain characters have certain memories, for people. I talk about it
right,
often when I talk to celebrities on here, when they get to meet people at conventions and people just
mhm,
weep about, you're my favorite character because I was going through cancer at the time or something, and they found some way to relate. It's very, very moving, and it is a very deep responsibility.
I mean, that's how we take it as a big responsibility that to make not only to work on Star Wars, but to make it great. We don't want to just make a we don't want to just make content. I hate that word
Right.
because
Right.
what you're making is either worth watching or it's not.
Right.
And we're not just making content. I want to make a fan favorite story, whether it's an episode or a series. I want you to walk away from going like, oh, this is Star Wars,
Right.
or this was a great story. And so it's a big responsibility, and we take it really seriously. Tamara can attest to that too. So, uh, anyway, yeah, good acknowledgement.
Excellent.
Let's
All
see.
right, we've got here from Jens. Your portrayal of 3PO and Obi-Wan is your first canonical role in that suit, right? What was it like to finally officially portray him in the canon narrative?
It was the first canon narrative. You're right, Jens. And what was it like? I was. It was just another day at work because I'd been playing him for several years before that, and for me, I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing, and that it's been working. So I was I was excited that it was going to be in a show, but it doesn't really hit you uh, because you're just doing the thing that you're already been doing.
Right.
You're prepared with your stuff, and the suit works, and um, you know, there's very little I could do to mess it up. I think, because I don't know. I'd have to purposely mess it up, I guess. But what was it like? I mean, did it mean a lot? Yeah, it meant a lot. I was glad that they called me. I just it was work, you know,
Right.
and I just did the best. I just did the best that I normally try to do, and it was cool. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. There's a comment here from Mike Berger, who is the founder of an organization called Jedi Council of America. He
hmm
says the C-3PO costume is listed as an extreme cosplay since it's hard to move and see out of.
Hmm.
You are an extremist, my friend. You're like one of those X game guys.
We'll say I'm a machinist. How about that? No. It was
Excellent.
it is very physically demanding and also mentally demanding because, like you said, that it is can be disorienting. But it just takes practice. Like it yeah, it just takes practice. I won't say anyone can learn how to do it. but
Right.
it did take a lot of practice. But you can. The thing with costumes is, you can tailor them to fit you, and make it so that your performance, if you want to call it, like, to say, if you're cosplaying, you want your performance to feel good, and believable. You don't want it to be like, oh, that poor person,
Right.
like, in that costume, they can barely walk, or it's pinching them. You can tell, or they're like waddling because they don't want to pinch their, inner thighs. Um, but yeah, just tailor it to fit you and make it look good on you, and then use that, now that you're comfortable, now, um, now, bring the energy of that character to your cosplay, because you built a costume.
Right.
But the costume it could sit on a mannequin. It's still a costume, but it's not a character until you are
Your
in it, and
energy.
you stand with your energy. If you're, I don't know what you're, maybe you got a blaster. Don't just stand like this. Stand like this.
Right.
Like
Right.
like do be the character, because that's what people want to see. That's why you did the costume, because you want to be the character, right? And it just takes a little bit of effort.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
It says, who's your main in Battlefronts 2?
Oh, Boba Fett was in Battlefront 2, right?
I can't remember. I don't remember which. I believe so.
If he wasn't, I played Sand Trooper a lot too, just because I like the weapons and stuff. Yeah. That's the answer to that.
Months of my lives has been gone on Battlefronts, the original Battlefront. That was
Fun.
absolutely amazing.
Boba Fett was Battlefront 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I did. It was a while ago, but yeah, I did play him a lot. Yeah.
Tamara says Chris would totally win one of those competitions where you stand for 36 hours with your hand on the house. A lot of patience, I imagine. Huh?
That is a fun little exercise, is when you're in a costume head to toe where you can't tell that a person's in it, and just standing still.
Right.
And then somebody walks by and you're like, hello, or whatever, or you move
Right.
slightly. I've done that, and it's a lot of fun. you get a fun reaction out of people, and they had a fun experience. Yeah.
Right. It's like those guys down on the pier that like dress like a statue and sit on a bench, just wait there for somebody to come touch them.
Right.
Excellent. Well, you know what? We're over our time. I've had so much. I could talk to you all night long. Yeah, it's 40 minutes goes by fast. We're over 40 minutes. We're probably at about 50 to an hour.
Well, let me tell you something. I just real quick.
Yeah.
I wanna plug a little thing. If you recently, I just had a project where I designed a shirt for Roosevelt's, which is a licensee of Lucasfilm and Disney, and so I designed a shirt, and it was all drawings out of my sketchbook.
Oh wow! Oh snaps! Yeah, holy goodness!
So there's so you'll have to go check it out. It's called Droid Drawings. I don't get anything for plugging it. I just really like it, and I drew like all my favorite droids.
Wow!
And so they made a shirt. It was really cool.
Nice.
And then also, if you go on to my Instagram, Chris F. Bartlett on Instagram, when I do conventions, and there it is. I mean, that's the T-shirt. They also had a button-up that you can see. And when I go to conventions, there you go. There it is down there at the bottom. I love to meet people in that are cosplaying, especially Star Wars, but really any costume. And what I like to do is work with just play a little bit with people in cosplay that to really show the energy of their character. And so I'll film them. Maybe I'll sweep around their character, or maybe they'll be walking. I'll have like a low angle and they're walking by, and then I stitch the little reels together and I put them on my Instagram. So you may see yourself on my Instagram. You can also find upcoming shows that I'm going to be doing. That's in the little highlights, there, right at the top. Really convenient to find like what cities I'll be in. But we do this in between filming, and it's a lot of fun. I really love meeting new friends in costume. And playing a little bit with them so that we can, make their characters feel really real,
Excellent.
So,
and I just want to say no details right now. We're beginning to talk about it, but for those of you that live here in Northern California, just keep let's just say stay alert of the Kyber Cave pages. You never know when we might have friends stopping by the store. Let's just leave it that way.
Yeah, you never know, right?
Chris, you are an amazing talent in so many ways. I loved learning about your video game background and the psychology that goes into a game. You're a fantastic artist. I can't wait to pick up one of those T-shirts. And I've just learned so much tonight.
Oh, thanks. Well, it was great to be with you guys. So thanks for having me, and I'd love to come back anytime.
Steven says, I want to buy that button up and get your autograph on it. Then I have a friend embroider your autograph. Oh, wow, that's fancy.
That's a cool idea. Yeah, Steven, you're the first one who came up with that idea, so you get that one for free, and then everybody else. Okay.
Chris, thank you so much. I have had nothing but it has been a pleasure talking to you. I feel like I've learned so much about, even I feel more zen about claustrophobia. I think I just need to slow down.
Yeah. Just take it easy. You're going to be okay. Yeah. But anyway, all right. Well, thanks, you guys. And thanks for all the great questions. And if I didn't answer a question, you can hit me up on Instagram. I read my messages. And I'll answer your question for you there. And maybe I'll do like a little reel answering it. Okay?
Excellent. You are the man. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
All right, guys.
All right. Bye. Take it easy. Mezzo. Oh, look at the love. That's fantastic. All right, Mezzo. Roll that.
So when we talked about seeing out of the pinholes, and I put in the chat, it reminds me of when I did costume character work for Warner Brothers at an amusement park, and they had little mesh eyes that you could like see out of.
Right.
And I've always been scared of them ever since, though, because even though it still worked after this happened, but I was performing on the stage, and it was only my second time doing this character. I was Sylvester the cat at the time, and I literally danced off the stage. 4 feet onto concrete.
Well, fortunately,
that's the story of my life. I'm a klutz, though. And I ended up, I did go to the ER that night, and just like it was all contusions, but like in 2 weeks, I was fine. It wasn't like,
oh my god,
it's all good. It's Mexo. I'm a Pringle chip, so I just crack. And it was funny because Steven who commented about getting the shirt embroidered. That's actually Kyber Cave store manager, and he's a good friend of mine. He wrote down Mezzo Twin in the comments because I know like. When it comes to graphics design and digital art, like Chris was talking about, I did that stuff, and everything I've done with editing and all that is all self-taught stuff from like YouTubing tutorials or just playing with the stuff. And I did feel like I was my first official digital artist when I got to draw for a book that was being published. And I was like, I felt like I really hit the jackpot on the head there. That was really exciting.
I made it.
So much of what he had to say was very interesting. And Tamara, please message us. I sent you in the chat. Please email us at kybercaveproductions@gmail.com or just find the Facebook and you can message us there. I'm in charge of both of that contact, so you'd be talking to me. I would love to have you come on the show. Yes, it was pretty painful when it happened. Actually, it was one of those moments. I fell off the stage. This is going to be an interesting story real quick. I fell off the stage. And I froze, and I hear the audience. Like there was like 150 people going like that, all in unison. And I was like, my brain clocked. Okay, just fell off the stage. My coworker who just started his first day there, it was his first time seeing the show. He's 10 feet away, going, "Is that supposed to happen?" Like still clapping. And I jumped up, ran up to the stage, and finished my song. And I did 3 or 4 more shows before I went to the ER, finally.
Wow.
Because we had, at that time I was 18 years old. It was 20 years ago. No one to cover me. And I just felt like I had to do it. So it's hard that whole show must go on. It's that show must go on mentality too. Like you feel like you have to keep going.
Sylvester's got a leg that's just like limping off to the side.
It was literally like I could barely move, and it hurt so much. Yeah, the show must go on, Tamara. That's just exactly how I felt about it. I'm a theater kid at heart, and I sing a bit too, stuff. And so I just feel like I have to keep going. I've had things on stage happen where you just have to keep going. You learn that usually sometimes too. High school, 2 people kept forgetting their lines, and I would just really improvise the whole rest of the show.
I want to let you know now too. Don't forget to check out KCP merch. If you would like to help support this channel and some of the great things we do. Ooh, I can even tell you who the guest is next week. It's so nice being prepared like months in advance.
I tried to teach you that.
I have been doing a really good job of booking ahead.
And both of us have. Since I'm taking my 5-week vacation, I wanted to make sure things got booked. And so we're both booking people.
That's right.
This time, yes. And so who is next week's guest, Van?
Our guest next week, it is a very personal one for me. We've been doing this show for like 3.5 years now, and I can't believe I've never had this woman on. She is a personal mentor for me in my life. Some of you may know that before I did this, before I was a preschool teacher, I spent about 10 years of my life as a spoken word poet. I was at national competitions. I've represented the city of Sacramento. I was a Grand Slam champion for Sonoma. And it was during kind of a golden age in spoken word poetry in the Bay Area. And I happen to know the woman coming on, Seven Kelly Bolt. She is one of the few people that has been a Grand Slam champion in every single team in the Bay Area. And the Bay Area in general is renowned throughout the United States as some of the toughest teams to get on, period. And she has been the Grand Slam master of every single team, as well as coached several teams to championships. She is a world-renowned poet. She was seen on...
What's her name, Van?
Her name is Seven Kelly Bolt.
Right.
That is what her real name.
Melissa just asked who was trying to because you were going quickly. They're excited. If you said the name, it was missed. I also want to bring up Mr. Mike Berger said that Chris will actually be at Rebel Scum Con in San Antonio next month. Yeah, check that out. That would be pretty cool. Guys, don't forget, we also give a Saber away every 100 subs, and at 2,000, which we're less than 70 away from, we will be
NeoPixel.
And if you want to know the rules for Sabers real quick, when it comes to winning one, you can't have won the last 6 months, and you can't be an employee of Kyber Cave or Kyber Cave Productions. Sorry, Steven. You work there. You hold Sabers all the time. Seven Kelly, molts or volts? They ask.
Bolts, like lightning bolts.
BOL. Yes.
It's SEVAN.
Yes.
KELEE. I believe she's got a weird spelling on it. And she changed her name legally. So
okay, and then you guys, Chris talked about possibly answering questions in a reel for Instagram. If you want to check out his Instagram, I did put a link to it in the description below. If you didn't catch it in the chat. So you can check that as well.
Dude, I totally love talking to Chris. Like, I totally feel like he should have a podcast or something. I would totally
I agree.
Listen to his shows.
That would be fun to listen to. Like, if you're just working or on a drive, and I'd be like, and it's always fun to nerd out. That's why we have Saturday morning nerd out too. Like, we just get to nerd out about the stuff that we love.
We should have him come on Saturday morning nerd out if he ever has time.
Yeah, that would be fun. We if Casey's interested, because he's actually still watching around. He gave us a thumbs up. We go over trailers on things that are going to be coming out and news and what we think would happen. Sometimes if there's a TV show on like Loki, Mando, whatever, we kind of sometimes also give our predictions on what we think.
Yes, I definitely feel like Chris has feelings about Loki.
He might. I actually know someone who worked on the first season of the VFX on that, and he talked about how much fun that was. Maybe I can get him to come on one day.
I have a poet that what is it? On Loki season 2, X10 or what's the character's name? X5. It's X something. The bad guy.
Yeah. I know what you mean. You knew him. He owes you money.
Right. He owes me $20.
Oh goodness. All right, well guys, thank you so much for joining us today. No, you can go ahead and head on out, Chris, whenever you are ready. It should upload very shortly, fully upload. But have a good night.
Chris.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
So it has come to the end of our show, as we always have. I want to remind you of all the fun stuff that we do have. We have the end of Star Wars month tomorrow night, Retro Alcove. We have Saturday morning nerd out on 10 a.m. on Saturdays. Right now, Graveyard is not able to do that part, but so if we can get it together, one of us host it. And yesterday, unfortunately, I had a meeting right beforehand, so I couldn't. And then Mexo here has one more Saber Rattle, and then I'll be out. And Tony, Negron, Aubrey, Captain Lady Moon on our show, and Graveyard are all covering for me while I am out.
See how many people it takes to just replace Met?
That's very sweet. And also, if when it comes to contacting Kyber Cave Productions, I'll still be looking at the email and making sure that, because I'm the only one at the moment that has access to the emails and stuff. I still check those every night. Thank you, Anthony Rogosu. I said it incorrectly this whole time. I do apologize. And Loki is an interesting show. And hi, Night Vision. Good to see you. All right, guys, have a wonderful week, and we will catch you later. Enjoy Talk of the Town.
Don't forget to share, subscribe, and let all your friends see this. This was a fun one.
Yes. All right. Bye, guys.
Peace.